I'm heading to downtown Santa Rosa to speak with Director of the Museum of Sonoma County, Jeff Nathanson.
On October 6th, the exhibition From the Fire, A Community Reflects and Rebuilds, is going to open in our museum, and this is on the occasion of the one-year anniversary of the October 2017 fires. That was an event that was one of the most significant disasters in California state, if not the nation's history. Included in people who lost their homes and lost their jobs are artists and creative people. They are part of the community. We're all part of the community. And when something happens, there is a process we all go through, a healing process. And I think that's going to be ongoing, maybe for many people for the rest of their lives. One of the things we need to do in terms of that process is to look at creative expression. And we're not only looking at visual artists, but we're trying to be inclusive of poets and performance artists and people who are expressing themselves. Today, we're going to visit 3 artists who are in the exhibition.
New media artist Kimberly Coim-Mertera is visiting the museum to discuss the installation of her artwork for the show. How did video and water and everything else get into the jars?
I've been working with really normal objects for a long time, and the idea of what we can preserve. So these are preserving jars. And I've been working with water and shooting footage through water and just manipulating light and water.
But they really do have that sort of preserving jar kind of feel. In a way, it's interesting because I think of specimens and maybe in a laboratory or in a museum context, but then we're looking through the water at this video footage that's related to the fires.
When I first was looking at the footage, I was really thinking of like sharing and wanting to preserve people's memories of, what maybe they had lost. This was an opportunity to store that and to maybe share something that was precious to them.
It's not only preserving the memory, but it's also about the healing process.
Yeah, there is a real healing process. Since I'm using water, projecting the imagery through the water, I feel like it's a way to be with this footage and but to also have a buffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
Jeff and I head to the Santa Rosa home of sculptor and art teacher Martin Zuniga. Martin inspired students to create a colorful mural, which will be part of the museum exhibition. Before talking about the mural, Martin shows us one of his sculptures that was inspired by the fire.
Are these real fire extinguishers?
This is what panic looks like in my head. I walked outside to get the dogs and my pets to throw them in the car, and they were leaves on fire landing in my yard, like oak leaves.
So you go looking for a fire
For
extinguisher.
a fire extinguisher. In the kitchen, I knew I had 2 fire extinguishers. I couldn't find them. They were there. I couldn't see them. My panic had set in so much. So this all shapes different where it's like, it wasn't there, it wasn't there, it wasn't there. But the picture kept on popping into my head of just a red extinguisher.
Fire was all around you, so you don't even know which way to aim the thing, right?
Exactly. So you don't know which way, because there were 60 active fires by around 5 and 6 in the morning. So which way do you go?
Before the fires, Martin and his family were about to buy a home. The fire's destruction exacerbated Sonoma County's tight housing market.
There's nothing to rent. There was nothing to move into. So we got displaced really fast. It was a domino effect. Yes, the fire did push that first domino, but there were a lot of other pieces in the city and the county that fell because of that fire. The real estate people would come to us and say it went up 10%. A week later, it went up 8%. By the time that we got into this one, we had gone up 38% in months. That fire, in a way, it shook the tree, you know, to see who's going to be able to hold on to Sonoma County.
Martin saw this mural project as a way of helping students deal with the trauma of the fire.
There's flames here coming out of the amor, love, flames coming out.
How about el aguante?
El aguante is, you know, you gotta have endurance. After all this, it's aguante, right in the middle. We will survive. It's just, you'll be there.
We will endure.
Yeah, endure.
Yeah.
Our last stop is the Glen Ellyn home of artist Adam Shaw. In his studio, Adam recalls the moment when he first saw the fires approaching his house.
Stood up and looked out my window, and that whole hill across the way was completely on fire. A rolling fire. It was like moving this direction. I called up 911, and I was lucky I got through, and the dispatcher, who sounded very harried, I said to her, "There's a fire in my house. I live in Sonoma Valley. I'm not sure what I should do." She said, "Sir, there are fires everywhere right now. If you feel unsafe, you should leave immediately." So I called down to my son, and I said, "Grab the animals." We have a dog and a cat. I said, "Grab the animals, we're out of here." And one of my son's friends who lived in Kenwood, he came in to see his house. His house is burned down. And he came to my house and he said, "I'm at your house now. It's completely surrounded by fire, and there's no one here fighting the fire." So in my mind, it was like, okay, that's it. 300 paintings, all my sculpture, my guitars, everything. It's like, all right, just let it go.
Through the efforts of local volunteers and firefighters, Adam's home was saved.
Looked like there was someone put a bubble over my house that went 30 feet in every direction. All the land around was completely charred, and everything inside was saved. These two pieces are the genesis of the entire show. These were found down the street from in front of the house that burned down. So this is totally untouched.
Adam has dedicated this past year to producing fire-inspired work.
Although all these pieces that have a lot of burning in them, they're not burned from the fire. They're burned by me, sort of evocative of what the fire did. This is not like I went into the fire and pulled stuff out of there. It's like, no, I pulled myself out of the fire and made this work.
One piece that was burned in the fire is a 1959 Ford truck. The artist has adorned the truck with gauze and flowers.
I want to lift people up to a higher place in themselves. You know, I mean, I feel that the best art, it like helps you wake up, to be more alive, to be more conscious, to be more open, and that's what I'm aiming for.